Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 706 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob, Commander Taco Malta, and I am joined today, of course, by Chris DeBona.
Hi.
And Rob Roseboom.
Hello.
Gentlemen, I feel like it has been almost 4 days since we spoke together in this manner, and in that time, Hubble has made amazing breakthroughs.
What we got first was there's a big story coming from Hubble.
From everywhere.
I know y'all are looking at James Webb, but I'm
Yep.
still here.
Right.
And then
I'm still pretty.
I'm still pretty. And then they named a star after a Tolkien thing.
But it was also the farthest away star they've ever discovered.
Most distant, yes.
Most distant. 12 point something billion light years away.
let's see now.
No matter how much you try to love it, it just, doesn't really care. It's so distant from you.
I know that they gave it this cool name, but given its technical designation as WHL 0137-LS, we should call it Whaleys.
Whaleys?
Yeah, Whaleys. This is a Whaley
How
star.
about wheelies?
Wheelies?
Yeah,
okay.
like your little kid doing
yeah,
wheelies.
you got the L in the
Yeah.
over here. Wheelies. Yeah, this is Wheelies star. There you go.
Wow.
I mean, Tolkien's fine, but I mean,
Sure,
it
whatever.
came from the Silmarillion, apparently. So
one of those lesser read books.
yeah, exactly.
Don't worry though, because the Lord of the Rings movie doesn't have the rights to the Silmarillion. Or the Lord of the Rings TV show.
Really?
Yeah. They apparently they drew the line, like there's a list of things they can use and a list of things they can't, and the Silmarillion is not explicitly part of it. It's apparently like they're allowed the appendices and the poems.
So they can't get into all the original surnames of the Elvish lords and stuff like that. I'm sure viewers will be upset.
So they explain here, Eärendil is a half-elven character who travels the seas carrying the jewel, a Silmaril, called the Morning Star.
We know what that is.
So they already named something Silmaril, probably.
Well, they can use it if it's referenced in Lord of the Rings.
Sure.
Just that's the rule for NASA. They're just not allowed to use any of the Silmarillion material for naming, because of the licensing agreement they have with the Tolkien estate.
It's the law.
That's why they should call it wheelies.
I don't know. In the end, the Tolkien estate can't tell you not to name something from the book. I mean, look at Palantir, look at Eärendil, look at all these companies that use, Oculus.
Look at all those poor Game of Thrones fans who named their daughters Khaleesi.
Ooh, right? Oh, man, I think about that. I'm like, when you meet a
oops.
kid like that, you're like, I'm so sorry.
Dodge that bullet.
8,
I mean, I don't know why they just don't name it Frodo. I mean, go straight for it.
Go big.
Because they probably already have a star named Frodo.
Right. I don't know how that.
Certainly, here, let me find.
I don't know how that movie, what was it, Precious, based on Push by Sapphire? I don't know how they didn't get sued.
Why would they get sued?
Because Precious.
Oh, I get it. Because Gollum,
yeah,
my precious.
Yeah.
Precious.
Right. Sorry. It's early. All right. Well, you know who it's not early for is Bruce Willis.
Poor Bruce.
I know,
wow.
man.
Yeah.
They finally admitted what has been sort of the internet rumor for a while now, which is he has brain issues.
Yeah. And that he was doing all those wacky movies to sort of fill up the coffers before he couldn't anymore.
Make a few extra mil before he steps down.
Because he has made a string of really terrible sci-fi.
Terrible sci-fi, terrible thrillers, terrible revenge.
I've seen several.
Yeah. You've watched them?
Several.
Don't you like yourself, Rob Malda? We like you. Were any of them good?
No. Actually, I'm trying to remember. One of them was not horrible. How about that? But he was only a minor character in it. I'm trying to remember which one it was because I watched like 4. So if a sci-fi movie that I haven't seen shows up on my friend's Plex server, I'm gonna watch it. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I get you.
And I didn't care about Bruce Willis. Cosmic Sin was one that he was in. Yeah, and
was it about space prostitutes?
No, it was aliens.
Space prostitutes.
No, because the laws are different in space.
One of the things that I read is that there's a not
Spurs.
unreasonable chance that this is actually the result of an onset accident from a movie in 2003 where apparently something major smashed his head.
Oh,
Well, it's
Uh,
usually caused by
which
like a
movie was it?
stroke or severe head injuries,
Yeah.
encephalitis,
Oh.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So this might not just be the bummer genetic dice roll. This might be an unfortunate side
Like a
effect.
boxer, you know.
Yeah, of taking a hit to the head.
Bruce
So
Willis is suing the makers of the 2003 action movie Tears for the Sun for injuries sustained on the film. Wow.
yeah, that might have been it. That was
Yeah.
the rumors that I read. But again, it's all rumors and speculation, right? So who knows what's real? Except that
So I really like Die Hard, and I actually liked Moonlighting quite a bit, but the rest of his career, I'm like,
Fifth Element, Sixth
I mean,
Sense,
sure, right? Fifth Element was super fun. Sixth Sense was
Pulp
kind of,
Fiction.
I mean, he was dull. Pulp Fiction was an ensemble. Anyone could have been in that costume.
I guess, but he's been in 5 of the best movies ever. So I mean,
he's been in 5. He's had a hell of a run.
Yeah.
So good on him. But my wife's like, yeah, he was just the right bartender at the right time that happened to end up in these things.
And let's not forget his music career.
I was just gonna say, let's not
I'm
forget
sorry.
that. The man's a
did
genius from the
forget
harmonica.
Yeah, there was that movie in the Vatican, Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk, man.
Not a good movie.
Not a good movie.
Not a good movie.
But what I will say is I rewatched it about a year ago, and it's better now than it was, but only because
I love Danny Aiello.
You don't have the marketing connected to it, because the marketing made it feel like one kind of movie, and it's not that kind of a movie. It's a weird ass dumb movie.
It's a weird ass dumb movie. It's the kind of movie that Hugh Jackman would do so he could sing. And it was kind of the same thing for Bruce Willis, but he wasn't as good of a singer.
What really sucked though is Glass.
When that one.
Like,
I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, you're not missing much. He was the worst part of that movie, because every time he was on screen, it was just clear that he was not there.
That's sad.
Yeah, and you can assume that he's just lazy and not working, but now in hindsight,
that might be my favorite of M. Night's movies. Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
I really
Unbreakable's
dug that
fantastically good.
Yeah.
Well, let's not go too far, but it was very good.
It's fantastically good. It's a 4-star movie, and especially if you put it in the.
That far, but
I would, but if you have to put it in the context of this is before X-Men, right? I mean, this is way back in the comic book movie thing. This is prescient almost.
It was 2000. X-Men. Sure, your timeline lines up. X-Men was also 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, they're at the very least they are contemporaneously in production. This predates.
I understand. Bruce Willis was going to be Professor X, but he instead did Unbreakable.
Yeah, and then he was going to be Neo.
I made that up.
But he got busy.
Maybe. I think it's possible. He was very popular.
No, but he got in trouble for slapping his wife.
Who did?
I don't know. Wasn't it? No, it was Will Smith.
Bruce Willis?
Wasn't Will Smith supposed to be Neo? Isn't that like the famous?
Who was?
Yes, I think you're right.
Neo.
Yeah, he's like
Neo was to be played by Will Smith, who chose Wild Wild West instead.
Oops.
And Morpheus was to be played by Sean Connery, who chose Entrapment instead.
Boy, they both chose poorly.
Boy, didn't they though?
They did. Okay, so the Russian troops have been withdrawing from Chernobyl.
Every actor who turned down Neo
with radiation poisoning. Yeah, right?
You know my feelings about Nick Cage. He can do anything. Brad Pitt chose not to even audition, I guess. Leonardo DiCaprio, Val Kilmer. Sandra Bullock. What's going on here? I think I'm in a stupid article now. All right.
You might have traveled.
I might have traveled too far.
So yeah, the Russian troops they're dropping out of Chernobyl because apparently a bunch of them got radiation poisoning.
The fuck yeah! Apparently they were digging probably latrines or trenches, and it's like, oh, oops, it's all radioactive.
It's hard for me to believe that they sent them in there without the proper gear.
Yeah, right. Can you believe they didn't prepare their troops?
Given the rest of the story, what we've been reading for the last month, it's totally easy for me to understand that they would do that. That's a weird one.
I mean,
I've been actually interested in all these articles talking about why the West had overestimated the ability of the Russian army and their gear and all this stuff lately. And it's like when this whole thing started, we talked about their navy in particular, how terrible in disrepair their navy was. Almost all of it had rusted out sitting at dock, you know.
Yeah.
Like they do have a lot of missiles, they have a lot of armor, but I mean, as far as maintenance of stuff goes, they just haven't had the cash to take care of all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
that stuff is very expensive to keep up.
Yeah, the first one was like they needed to roll the tires on all of their vehicles, so all the tires like rotted.
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
yeah. There's maintenance to pay for having a giant army.
Right. Well, the other thing that I really liked about, or that has been interesting about the story is that you don't actually get to see what a military is capable of until they use it. So
Well,
the
yeah, I
industry
mean,
has
this is the thing.
you can do performative acts, like a North Korea launching a missile or whatever, or you can, have stage naval exercises or whatever, but those are performative. They're not
Right.
necessarily an accurate indication of anything real.
And let's be clear, they apparently still have the ability to absolutely decimate cities and huge sections of land.
Oh, they can end the world.
But breaking stuff and then moving troops in and holding stuff are two different things.
Well, that was something that I was wondering about too with this Chernobyl story. They said they were digging in the Red Forest. And I'm like, and I guess this should betrays my complete and total lack of understanding of modern warfare, but I can't see how digging a trench is like the right answer right now. Like it feels like you can just knock over a building, and live in the crater. Like I don't feel like we need to make trenches anymore. Isn't that like kind of old?
It's like the easiest and simplest way to protect people, so it's never going to go away.
But like
The
they
first
have
thing you always
tanks.
do is dig a trench so you can lay down and get out of gunfire.
Why don't you just park? Why don't you just park in a garage and then they can't see you? They're fighting in cities now.
Well, I guess, but if you want to go out of the city to go to another city, at some point you're going to have to cross forest.
I
At
guess.
which point you would like something that you can reliably hide in.
I just get in my tank and I drive back.
You know that every group doesn't have a tank, right?
Oh, no way. Just go back to the Hilton that's back up the road.
Yeah.
I also thought it'd be fun to
okay
send
there,
all my coffee into my lung.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually you're supposed to take that through your stomach. And
Well, you do get the caffeine quicker that way.
It is true.
Like butt chugging?
Similar, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a real thing. But
it is absolutely a real thing.
It is absolutely a real thing.
Is that how the Russian troops get, amped up for their invasions?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's put some vodka in our butt and dig a trench in the Red Forest.
It's the cheapest way to get hammered really quick, and they don't have a lot of time. So.
Man, there's been some grim stuff coming out about not just how unprepared they were, but like, apparently they have like this, airborne group that's sort of their elite airborne soldiers. And there was a story on the BBC today that was about basically all the casualties.
Yeah.
And all the people posting on VK, which is, Russia's Facebook, about, oh, my husband, my son, my soldier, he died. And then all the Ukrainians are like, yeah, he died invading and trying to kill people here. So, and it's like, it's like.
This has been a wild, like this is our sneak preview to what the next generation of war is going to look like. The information part of it is so fast.
It's so crazy, man.
It's wild.
There's so much information about like, boy.
Well, and there's so much information, but who knows what's real and what's false? Because a lot of it is just, propaganda from one side or the other, and who knows?
No, so people are like collating, funeral and sympathy notices on BK to sort of get an idea of how many people are dying, because the government's not collating the information and presenting it to the people. I mean, why would they do that, right? So it's like, and only now with the modern Russian tanks are they getting to. So Russian tanks are sort of known for being incredibly tight on the inside, so it's very hard. Like the ammo is exposed to the interior spaces in ways they aren't in American tanks, and it's like, these are. I mean, they have a lot of them, but I'm not sure I would want to be inside one. But I'm yammering. I apologize.
I've been inside of a tank before, and I don't ever want to be inside of
Yeah.
a tank again. But I'm also claustrophobic.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You don't want to be a tank person.
No.
Yeah. A friend of mine was. Yeah.
Yeah. So scientists gave some lions love drugs, and then what happened next will surprise you.
Did they eat the scientist?
No. It's actually kind of a neat story because it's a little bit sad why they're giving the lions oxytocin. So one of the biggest tools they have for uh, rehoming lions that have been taken out of bad places or trying to increase populations is moving them to areas where there's already prides of lions. The problem with that, lions are very, very territorial,
Yeah.
and you introduce a couple lions who have been taught by people how to hunt and eat meat, and you put them somewhere with a whole pride of lions that get slaughtered. So uh, they've started giving these lions oxytocin in the hopes that when they introduce new lions to the area, they won't be completely wiped out, and we can get a bigger base of lions before we shoot them all for trophies. Basically. So it's turned out that this works. That this works for introducing lions who don't know each other, and it might be a very useful tool. But then once you read through the article, there's one line that's like, although when meat was introduced, the
Yeah.
effects of the oxytocin don't matter. So it's like, yeah, everyone gets along until one pride makes a kill, and then you're back to the same old problem. But I mean, it's of trying to figure out a way to boost populations and rehabilitate and introduce lions back into the wild. Unfortunately, like the only reason we have to do this, of course, is because of people.
Right.
So we have to come up with a solution that defies nature, and this sort of works until food is involved.
Well, maybe if they introduced people who had themselves a lot of oxytocin and let them be hunted by the lions.
Ooh,
that's true.
And then they could, use that oxytocin in the food.
But like a lot of our listeners, I was hoping the stories about how I could keep a pet lion. That as long as I gave him my oxytocin every morning, he wouldn't want to devour me. He would, love me and do what I
pay
say.
the oxytocin price instead of the blood price. Yeah.
Right.
Given that you live with very large dogs, the fact that you don't have a lion almost surprises me. Have you considered calling Carol or Joe and seeing if they can hook you up?
You knew Carol was going to come up.
I'd rather have a bear than a lion.
I feel we can call them Carol and Joe now. We're on a first name basis. Since Chris, supports her financially.
Sure, he's part of the family.
Yep. Sends her Christmas cards. Rob, I think this is a follow-up to a story that you shared with us before.
It is.
The Republican story.
So, of course, when we talked about before, this was actually not too far from here where this whole rumor started. I think it was in, I don't want to say what city it is because I'm unsure now, but it's a city pretty close to here. And evidently this story is about a Republican senator or congressman from Nebraska. So it made it all the way out to Nebraska, where they were fighting against allowing the children who identify as furries to use their litter boxes inside the school, which of course is an absolutely ridiculous lie. No school ever set out litter boxes for kids in furry outfits. I mean, that's not even what they do. I mean, it's just so stupid that it is amazing that people in power have used the story to actually make points and get people riled up. It's just it defies logic.
It shows you how potent this vein is for propagating hate, and so therefore it's going to be the dominant thing. It's going to be like the number 2 or number 3 thing that we get to talk about for the next couple of election cycles.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, just the whole idea that these people absolutely believe that there is a school in this country that has a big litter box set out in which a 13-year-old could get up from a seat, go over in the corner and poop in front of all the students into a litter box because he's wearing a cat head. And these people are like, yeah, that is absolutely happening. It
Yep.
shows you the rift between reality that these people are living in.
Yep.
It's crazy to me.
And
Anyway,
the worst part about
he
that
just
story. Oh, go ahead.
he just figured out that it wasn't true.
Oh, that's good.
That story came out 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
It took 4 months for this dude in Nebraska to finally figure out and say, okay, well, maybe they're not doing that.
He went on
Well,
a
they're doing plenty of
fact-finding
bad
mission.
stuff.
Yeah, other bad stuff. Less bad stuff that we should ban in Florida. The thing that really just makes me the most sad about all of this stuff is that we will read the retraction, but the people who were prone to believe the retraction will never.
Well, they can't read.
They,
so,
yeah,
no,
they will
right.
never. And even if they did read the retraction, they would
Yeah.
not believe the retraction because they are already prone to
They're
a
already-
particular set of beliefs.
Yeah.
You need to take them through a decultification process at this point if they believe that shit. in the
I
first
still
place.
follow a ton of like
Oh, I bet.
media like best practices in media kind of people. And this is the whole thing. Like once you've told the lie, even if you did so in good faith, once you told the lie, all of the incentives are off of you to correct the lie, and the people who believed your lie won't be corrected. Like 90% of the time they just won't
The
believe you.
the last episode of Jon Stewart that I saw tackles the media and is actually pretty good. If you haven't,
I need
Oh,
to
is
try
this
it.
You haven't
the
seen the show.
Apple? Is
Yeah, The
Apple
Problem.
Nexus Plus
Yeah.
show?
Yep. I mean, I guess American school systems are messed up, but what about Scotland?
This is a really funny story. So
You know, I thought this was really interesting. Is this you,
Yeah.
Rosebum? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very Rosebum story.
So they are. So there's some textbook where they talk about how to tell, basically truth from fiction and stuff like that,
It's like a Clampy class.
and why people believe certain things. And the example they use is people believing in the Loch Ness monster. Well, the people in Scotland have seen this as sort of a front to them to try to keep the stereotype that the Scottish people are a bunch of, hill running yahoos who believe monsters exist everywhere.
Yeah.
And want it removed from the book. So it's become at least in Scotland, a sort of hot button political issue now, where they're like, we don't want kids in the UK reading that everyone here believes in the Loch Ness monster because that's solidifying stereotypes about our culture, and those people should F off and take that stuff out of the books. And the people in the books are like, it's a perfect example to show exactly how people believe in these things and yada yada yada. And I find it interesting when different white people are fighting each other over culture. You know what I mean? It's interesting.
Oh, that's a weird one.
Yeah.
I can't imagine getting worked up about that. I mean, like,
Well, it's sort of like the Italian movement. It's no more mob movies and the rest.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly. That's what I thought. There is that whole group of Italian
it's
Americans.
a racist. It's,
Yeah.
let me start
like-
getting mad about wooden shoes.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, so here's the thing, right? The Dutch, the Germans, the
wooden shoes are a whole thing.
pre-Irish immigrant waves. Every new immigrant wave has a beef. So this is just like a beef in the British Isles. Fine.
All right.
Not everyone embraces,
Nessie.
the united part of the United Kingdom. Let's just say.
Fair enough. Okay, we got a bunch of fun stuff. Oh, before we went any further, I just wanted to say Big Man Japan, Rob, choice recommendation.
I have to watch it on my own. My wife, we didn't make it through half the trailer before she's like, this is not my thing.
The trailer is terrible compared to the movie,
Yeah.
just to let you know.
Yeah, it's a documentary or a mockumentary style film. Trailers don't usually do a particularly good job. And your comparison to Troll Hunter was spot on.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Uh, I had a really hard time with the way that the special effects are treated.
As I
Because
told you.
yeah, you gotta kind of grit your teeth. But by halfway through, I'm like, okay, this is just your style. Fine, I got no problem with it. And then they
And
changed the
then,
style again.
oh, did you watch it all the way to
Yeah,
the
I
end?
finished it.
Yeah. So the end is absolute garbage, I think.
Yeah, it's almost like you should just stop.
Yeah,
But
sure.
like so here's the one thing is the version that I watched didn't subtitle the cards, it only subtitled the dialogue. So
Oh,
so in the final scene, there's a card that comes up, and then the special effects style changes. What did that card say? Do you know
oh,
what?
I can't remember.
Because there
It
has to
said
be an explanation.
it it said something, but the word translated wouldn't make sense to you.
Fair enough.
That all of a sudden the style of the movie's going to change or anything like that.
Yeah.
So like the card came up. I'm like, what does that mean? And then all of a sudden this is happening.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Am I watching a different movie or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my one real complaint, but I really liked how they handled the thing with his kid and like they pixelate out the kid's face and the wife
So
does.
the other thing, the version I watched, if they didn't translate all that, all across his house, there's protest signs about how bad he is for the environment and how he's
Yeah,
using too much electricity and all this stuff.
the
And
protests
they
were there. Yeah,
and they have like the protest signs as you go up to the charging station and stuff like that too.
I really liked how he's got propaganda ads painted on him. I liked
Yes.
everything that they did with his purple shorts.
Yeah.
They played good visual side guys. That's a top-notch movie. You can
And
probably watch the first hour 10 and drop it. But
yeah.
No, I'm
And
looking. I'm going to watch it next week. By
they get
myself.
into the argument because people want to start branding his thighs, and he's like, "No, I told you,
Stop!
my
Stop!
thighs."
Stop talking! Stop talking! You're
All right,
telling me too. I'm gonna actually. I can stop listening. That's
that's
reasonable.
true. That's true.
no, we're good.
We're good.
Oh, all right.
Morbius.
Morbius.
I love the hate that is coming into Morbius.
It's really bad.
This one was one of my favorite. I have to kudos to you, Rob Baldo, for finding that.
Yeah,
That's a classic.
Yeah, it shows
But
up a lot. To the podcast audience, it's a photograph of a car with a busted out window. It says, I had 2 Morbius tickets in my car and someone broke in and left 4 more.
Yeah.
I told my wife this and she's like, that's a cliche. That shows up all the time. I'm like, all right, fine.
It is, but it's still fun. I did watch Moon Knight. We could talk about Morbius though.
Yeah,
Did you
well,
actually
let's
see
do
it, Rob.
No,
let's do Moon Knight last.
Let's do Moon Knight last because who knows?
Yeah.
And
Cliff
also,
can't make it already.
All right, well,
we could also do it next time.
I'm not waiting. I want to say some stuff. So anyway, Morbius, the reviews are terrible. I'll probably go try to see it next week.
You're a more patient man than I am.
Yeah, but
that's for sure.
Chris, I don't have a job.
I'll watch it when it becomes available for me to watch. Let me say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I will go see any movie. I have 10 hours a day.
Did you see the Batman in the theaters?
Yeah,
Rob?
it's great.
Well, yeah. Okay.
I
might see a movie next week.
Yeah, I mean, I have there's 3 afternoons a week where I have nothing to do. So if I go see a movie on one of those days, I'm happy as a clam. But it's hard because there's not a lot of movies coming out that are worth watching these days. Because there's Morbius this week, and there's one coming out next Friday that looks really crazy. I don't know. It's got a weird name. It's like Everything and Anything. But it's a time travel movie, so you guys aren't gonna like it.
No.
And then May 5 is Doctor Strange. But I was gonna try to see if we can get a theater booked for that one again.
Yeah, I don't know. The early impression stuff from Doctor Strange doesn't look too hopeful. And to be honest, the stuff at the end of Spider-Man with Doctor Strange, I
that
thought,
trailer was rough.
This is gonna be terrible. They've used the gag one too many times.
Yeah.
Which gag? Wait,
the multiverse.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, they had the whole you're talking about him walking over to Wanda and she's like in some vineyard or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's just a lot of gibberish. at this point. It's just
And
nonsense.
it also bugs me a little bit that it looks like a lot of the stuff that is made it into the movie is stuff that was in the what ifs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought,
And
the whole
the weakest what if was the evil Doctor
Oh, see,
Strange
I liked that one a lot.
who lost Christine and stuff. It's like no one bought it,
I liked
Well,
it a
I didn't
lot.
buy it. You like everything, Rob.
That's not fair nor
You know?
true.
It's both fair and true.
I did not like everything. I like a lot.
All right.
Like I said earlier, between the first two Venom movies, there's 2/3 of a good movie.
Yeah.
I think you're being generous.
I think you're being really generous.
I like the third act of the first one, and I like the first act of the second one.
So the thing is, on one side, I actually really like Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
But on the other side, he also did that Spider-Man with the dancing. I'm like,
that's true. That's true.
Mixed bag, So
I've rewatched a lot of Sam Raimi in the last year or two. The bunch of the Evil Deads and the Quick and the Dead, was that him? But like I went through most of his movies.
Quick and the Dead was good.
Yeah, I watched most of it. By and large, he hits above his weight class, man. I like him a lot.
Yeah, did you see the Red Letter Media about Darkman?
No, I haven't. It's on my to watch list.
It was basically a love letter to Sam Raimi.
Yeah, I mean, Evil Dead 2, man.
Army of Darkness.
Yeah, yeah. Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, the first Spider-Man, the second Spider-Man, Quick and the Dead. I mean,
yeah,
that's a pretty, just like we're saying about Bruce Willis, right? You made 5 of the best movies ever.
Well, and the thing is, actually, Sam Raimi has a way better track record than Bruce Willis does.
Oh, for sure, because he's only directed like 10 things.
I'll add of his another one that I like is I think it's called Drag Me to Hell.
I don't know that I've seen that.
If you haven't seen it, but basically it is like what he wanted to do with one of the Evil Dead movies before they would give him enough money to do.
2009.
Actually,
yeah.
If you like the Evil Dead and Sam Raimi, check that movie out.
Cool.
It's very Evil Dead and Sam Raimi, huh?
Yeah,
excellent.
Sure.
I will get that as soon as I can. So I shared the trailer for The Bubble.
Yes.
I'm just actually
looks like fun.
I'm just really excited about it because in my house of late we have been rewatching sort of the greatest hit comedies with Alex. And so the last 2 nights we watched 21 and 22 Jump Street. And which are both really surprisingly good movies for what
they're pretty fun. I agree with you actually on that
one. But also like Anchorman and like we haven't like done too many of like the Apatow relationship movies, but we've done a lot of Apatow. Dodgeball slays my kids. They love Dodgeball.
I would say Judd Apatow is one of my favorite directors if they would have someone come in and say, dude, you have to think of an end to this movie.
Right?
Because like I would say, at least for my taste, about 75% of his movies go on 20 to 30 minutes too long. And they end terribly. He's terrible at endings.
I think you're probably right about that.
My thing with the Apatow movies is that he's really good at putting funny characters on screen that you really don't like. Yeah. Like he somehow threads this needle. Like you don't generally like this person, but dang, they're funny. There's a few exceptions, like the 40-Year-Old Virgin. Like you like Steve Carell.
I have to admit, I'm going through his IMDb page. I'm having a hard time remembering the endings of so many of these.
Because
like how did Step Brothers end? How did Forget? I think I remember how Forgetting Sarah Marshall ended.
Catalina Wine Mixer.
But I don't remember it.
It's like, the fucking Catalina Wine Mixer, Chris.
It doesn't. It's not there. I know Forgetting Sarah Marshall was a movie and I enjoyed it. I have no idea what happened at the
end. He makes his puppet musical.
I'm pretty sure
with
that
vampire
Bobby
puppets
won at the end, but
no, he does not do plot-driven things. He does
This is weird,
improv
though.
comedy characters bumbling through situations. But the bubble, the premise of this is
What's Bubble?
fantastic. The
Yeah, I
premise of
know.
this is actors stuck in quarantine making a movie. And the other thing that the reason that I looked this up today is I follow an ILM guy on Twitter, and apparently they filmed some of this in the volume that they use for the Mandalorian stuff.
Cool.
So some of the special effects stuff are done there. So I'm hoping that they will use the most advanced technology and special effects to tell big penis jokes.
It should be a lot of fun.
And then I think the last thing that
Moon
we
Knight.
had was Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
With-
I actually kind of liked it.
I kind of loved it.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch it, Rob?
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I was not
It's,
expecting to like it. I was expecting it to kind of Legion meets Marvel and just sort of fall flat. But you know, I think
The
Oscar
problem
Isaac's
is-
a good actor.
is that character is so sort of convoluted, and
Yeah.
there's so much to explain with Moon Knight that I'm like, how are you going to do this? So they sort of change it for you purists out there.
For
They change some stuff up in the interest of not having 2 episodes explaining exactly how it is he's Moon Knight and what Moon Knight can do. So
Yeah, which I think is the right approach. It's like, who
I
cares?
think
mean,
so too.
you know, it's like I guess they're going to give Miss Marvel's special bracelets instead of explain everything. Like, you know, sometimes you want to explain everything, but
I think
this seems like, you know what, it's too complicated. Let's just get right to the Oscar Isaac messing around with his personalities and coming.
Well, the thing that I heard is that there was a fan theory that I heard that they're going to downplay the multiple personality disorder thing, and they're going to play up other aspects of it. Like maybe it's a multiverse thing that's splitting his personality, but stuff to try to soften up. Like,
really, it's Venom who's the voice.
He is also supposed to be possessed by a spirit
Right.
and have multiple personality disorder.
So it's not confusing at all.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really well done. I thought that Oscar Isaac is so good. I'm so glad that they have an actor of his caliber. So he's got 3 personalities, I guess, that we know that they're going to portray in the show. I'm understanding there's more, but
there's like 3 big ones in the comic book. There's like a detective, like a fighter guy. I can't remember what the third one is because I'm not.
There's a cab driver.
Huge Moon Knight fan. No. Pretty sure it's not a cab driver.
No, there literally is a cab driver.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. He's apparently functions as an informant. But I've never read Moon Knight. I don't know. I only know what people say about it on the internet.
So I know he's just one more recycled billionaire. I have a bunch of gadgets because Moon Knight himself didn't have powers at first. He just was possessed by the spirit of the CIA operative that made him able to fight, and he was a billionaire. So he had like gadgets, a super suit basically.
Yeah.
And like a Moon Knight car, a Moon Knight plane,
a Moonmobile.
Just like
a Moobile.
Did he have a moon belt and
no, but he had
a moonerang?
He had like sharpened arms.
He has
that he
moonerangs.
could throw,
and
stuff, like all kinds of like crazy,
he's
Egyptian
Moon
style.
Batman,
Yeah, exactly.
But
he just also happened to be crazy and possessed by a spirit, and sometimes helped by the incarnation of the god of the moon, who is slowly dying.
Or whatever,
yeah, there's a lot in that character, man.
I don't know. I think him being imbued with the powers of the moon god. Let's leave it there, and take it from there.
That's the thing. Yeah, he's
no the crap behind.
Well, at one point he is that.
Yeah.
So she changes. They give him that finally, and then
at the very end of the first episode, you see him in his he's going after and he's beating up his
moon suit,
Anubis style attacker. So yeah.
I actually kind of want to rewatch the episode again just because it's not that long.
I do too. I thought it was I did love the chase scene where
Yeah.
he was flipping back and forth, and it was
Yep.
like, whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, it was super fun,
I did
So
read a quote that
yeah.
said the reason that they do that jarring time flip thing was actually it had
Yeah.
as much to do with budgets as anything else.
Well,
Like we could
okay.
show it, but then we have to do all those special effects shots. Why not just skip it? I kind of think we'll later on get to maybe see some flashbacks to what was happening in between this episode, but. Well, I'm super excited. I'm glad to have a Marvel show that's back on the air. There's nothing that makes me happier than having one or two things that I look forward to on TV every week.
Yeah.
And I'm still concerned. I have concerns about Obi-Wan Kenobi, so at least we'll enjoy this until then. Anybody have anything else?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Alrighty, gentlemen. Then let's say goodbye to the internet. Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye, internet.
Chris DeBona.
Internet bye.
Yep, bye. I was Rob Commander Taco Malta. That was Geeks in Space, and we'll see you next Tuesday if you're lucky. Bye.